Welcome on into This is Whirlie Nation. I'm Chase Williams, your host, with the head coach of the Grimsley Whirlies, Coach Corbett. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
Doing fine, Chase. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Of course, it's always great to catch up. And Coach, just wrapped up the holidays, the new year. How were your holidays? Good holiday season? Any New Year resolutions headed into 2024?
Just great holidays. Anytime we can get a chance with the family, that's important for me because I'm gone away from them so much. So I love having the Heiko before the holiday break because after that game is over, you've got a chance to just concentrate and relax on your family. When that Heiko was the day after Christmas, that was hectic. Because Christmas night you're thinking about the game the next day and getting up to shoot around and all that stuff. So we're excited about the direction our program is going in, and so we had a really good break.
Absolutely. The Whirlies are currently 8-3 on the season, including 2-1 in the Heiko tournament. Let's actually start there. About 2 weeks removed now at this point from the tournament. Didn't quite start the way we were hoping for, but then a strong finish, 2 straight wins to finish it out in the Consolation Championship. What did you think of the tournament and Grimsley's performance?
I think we had a wake-up call that first night. Paige came out with a lot of energy, and we didn't match that energy early on, and so we were fighting an uphill battle. It's right when we got back into the game, we didn't have enough gas to finish the game off. So I think we learned a little bit with this group that you can't take anybody for granted, and you got to play 32 minutes. So we had a long talk about that the next day in the film session when we were trying to get ready to play against our second game against Ragsdale. So I think the guys learned from that. And I told them as well, last year we lost in the Heiko. We regrouped and we didn't lose again until the end of the season. So we're hoping we can perform that same way, but, it's still a lot of work to put in.
Absolutely. And talk about regrouping your team. First game out of the break last night at home against Eastern Guilford, a 76-28 victory. Walk us through that one a little bit.
Well, I think what we wanted to do against Eastern Guilford was get better. I thought that we did some good things as we were leaving the Heiko. I thought we had a really big win against Bishop McGinnis. I really like their team. Coach Thompson does a great job with his program over there. So getting a good win against a solid program helped us out and gave us a little bit of momentum coming into Eastern Guilford. We had 3 or 4 days to practice to try to get better. We did a lot of individual work, walked through a lot of our offenses, and I thought we really came out early last night and set the tone defensively so that, those days off gave us a break to get in and work on some of our different pressure defenses and try to perform at a higher level. So I really, really give the guys credit for coming out ready last night. I think we jumped out on them 13-0, and then from there, it just sort of it carried through the rest of the game.
And that's kind of been the story of your teams at home recently. You take a look at before the Heiko tournament with Northwest Guilford at 80-54 victory against Southeast Guilford even before that on the 12th of December. If we climb back a while, it was a massive victory, 71-31 there. Your teams in the last 3 home games are winning by an average of 38 points per game, which is an absurd stat in its own. Is there something special about playing just in Grimsley High and in the home gym?
I think it's a place where we feel comfortable. I love playing here in Sawyer. The guys really get behind it. They have their friends and family here. So, we play really, really well at home. We got caught that first game off guard, but since then we've played really well. It's one of those things where once we catch our momentum early, it just sort of goes from there. But, having the confines of home and places that we practice in every day, and, we're used to the gym, the depth perception, all that stuff in the background. So, we love playing in Sawyer. It's a great place for us. It's been good for us for the last 3-4 years since I've been back.
And of course, that's a great thing. Also, having to be able to win away, though, it's going to be something that's got to happen. And not that the team's necessarily struggling from away, but 2 of the 3 losses come away from home. How do you work on getting whether it's a better jump on teams or whatever it needs to do to take that step forward, whether it's playing at a neutral site or a away game throughout the rest of the season?
Well, one of the things that we talked about, if we're going to go from good to great, we have to be able to win on the road. It's something that we have on the wall in our locker room. Great teams have to be able to win on the road. And, for us, we're in a unique situation because we are yet to play a road game. We've played many games neutral site. We've played several home games, but tomorrow night against Ragsdale is our first road game. So we've talked about that the last 2 or 3 days as far as being mentally focused and prepared to go on the road and have to get the job done where it's us against everybody. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but I like the challenge, and I think the kids are up to the challenge as well.
And sometimes I feel like, especially with those neutral site games, you see not necessarily the same crowds that can fire
Right.
you up that you'll see at a home game or a away game. Is the team almost excited to kind of go into what should be more of a hostile environment and people really rooting against them tomorrow night in Ragsdale?
As a player and as a competitor, you have to be excited about that. I remember when I was a player, I always wanted to play on the road. It just gives you a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit extra edge. So I think it's something that our kids have talked about. They're ready. We're going to play in a hostile environment tomorrow night. And you're right as well. When you play on a neutral court, you don't have that same type feel. So we're excited to see what we can do tomorrow on the road for the first time.
We'll break down that game a little bit more later on, but it's really a good kind of almost halfway point into the season, a little bit over a month in, a little bit over a month left. Break it down. What have you seen from the team so far this year that you've really liked and been impressed with?
I love our energy at times. I think that when we come out and we have a strong start to the game, then that energy just carries us over for the remainder of the game. I mean, we've played really well. Still not as good as I want us to play defensively, but right now at this point in the season, I think we're on top of the conference in points allowed per game at 52 points a game. So we're still not where I want us to be, but I see us getting better. So if we can continue to play hard on both ends of the court and know that our defense can create offense for us, I think that can take us a long way down the stretch. But we just got to make sure that we come out every game focused. The games that we have lost this year, we've had slow starts to. So we know the importance of getting off to a good start, and that's what we want to try to do.
Is there anything special you're trying to implement as we kind of head into half number 2 of the season that maybe Whirlie fans haven't seen a ton of this year so far?
I think we're just going to stick and do with what we do. I think we're going to try and pressure you a little bit in the full court early on. We're going to drop back, play our man-to-man, try to switch up, play some different defenses as well. So they may see us throw a couple of new defenses at different teams, but, we're still trying to work our way through those things in practice for us to get ready in a game. But I think that Whirlie fans can expect a team that's going to come out hungry every night. It's going to be prepared, organized, and we're just trying to get the kids to play a little bit more disciplined in certain stretches.
One of the guys that's felt the hungriest this year and really been just mind-blowing to watch is got to be Richard Goods. I mean, he's averaging a double-double, 19 points, 13 rebounds. There are times where he's flirting with a triple-double with blocks. He comes into your program this year, and truly, it's like a gift almost, it feels like. I mean, how big is his presence and him being on this Grimsley team been for you and the group this year?
It's a difference maker. We look at where we would be without him and we don't want to be there. So, we're excited about Richard and the things that he can do. I don't think that as a coaching staff, we've ever had anybody who gives us such an inside presence like he does. So, I mean, he's able to run the floor and get easy baskets. He follows up and gets his own rebounds sometimes, or gets plenty of offensive rebounds. I don't know if you noticed the stats, but he's got 65 offensive rebounds and 65 defensive rebounds. And that's led to 40 or 50 more shots for him. So without having that inside presence or a guy that we can go into, it'd be a different team that would be in the blue and white for Grimsley this year. So Richard's done a great job. We're extremely proud of him. We love having him here. He's a great kid. And he has really, really, really helped our program out this year.
The other thing I've noticed about Richard, I mean, your point on the rebounding and how evenly it's been offensively and defensively is spot on. But the other thing is when he gets going, his game opens up so much. He starts real close to the basket, which is where he's the most dominant. But if he's feeling himself, he'll head out and he'll hit a 3 or 2 in games, deep shots, just even more shots that kind of just make your jaw drop. Does he kind of just let the game flow? Do they work through him? What is going? I guess it's hard to ask you what's going through his mind, but what is it that works so well that makes the game almost work so freely for him in the second half when he starts off the way he does oftentimes?
Well, I think that one of our philosophies this year is we go inside out. We want to go through Richard, let him establish himself on the low block, and then the more he establishes himself, he's going to open up things for guys on the outside. So it's hard to double him if we've got shooters on the perimeter who can knock down open jump shots. And one of the things that, Richard is a very unselfish player. We've told him sometimes he's being too unselfish because he will catch the ball in the post and he may have a situation where we think he could go to the basket and score on somebody, but he's making a pass out to the perimeter to one of his teammates. So he's done a really good job at that. And as you said, he can also step out. That was one of the things we were surprised about when we started working him out for the first time. He can step out and he can shoot anywhere from 17 to 22 feet out. So he's still working on that aspect of his game, but I feel comfortable if he steps out on the wing and he takes a couple 3-point shots here and there, because I know he's going to make it at a pretty decent clip.
And he comes from Piedmont Classical with Kareem Osman as well. Osman, one of 2 players along with Nick Heath, who's averaging 3.5 assists per game. Those 2 averaging nearly close to 8 together. An impressive feat right there. A really helpful number to the team. How nice has it been that you have not 1, but 2 guys that are comfortable with the ball in the hand that really have distributed it well during the first half of the season?
Well, it's a blessing as a coach because I think we've got 2 unselfish guys for the most part trying to play that position. Kareem is a guy who's trying to get everybody organized and set up first, but he knows that he can get his shot whenever he needs. He's able to break the defense down off the dribble and try to create for others. So him coming into our program has been a blessing for us because he's done a great job and he's trying his hardest to lead us as well. Having Nick Keith also is extremely important because he's able to bring the ball to the floor. We really have 2 point guards who are out on the floor at the same time, because if one can't get the ball, we feel very comfortable with Nick bringing the ball up the floor and setting us up. He does a great job coming off of ball screens, penetrating and creating things for others. So, between those 2 guys having 74 assists and I think 32 turnovers, you can't beat that from your backcourt.
No, not at all. And I promise we would come back to this before we wrap things up with the first segment. Again, it's at Ragsdale on this Friday, your first road game of the season, but it's a familiar opponent. You played them in the Hayco tournament. It was a 70-52 victory. Right. What did you learn in that game that you can kind of help work into Friday nights?
Oh, that they've got good players, and they're not going to quit. The kids that they have play hard, and it's one of those things where with Ragsdale they play a lot harder against us. Not to say they don't play hard in their other games, but it's something about seeing that Grimsley or Whirlies on the chest that sort of brings out something extra when they play on the floor against us. So we know we've got to be prepared. We know we have to come in with the right mindset. They have good shooters on the perimeter that we do not want to let get into a rhythm early. So if we can do that and just play solid defense, hopefully we'll be okay tomorrow night.
Coach, thank you. Best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
When we come back on This is Whirlie Nation, we'll sit down with assistant coach Kyle Davis. And you're listening to This is Whirlie Nation. We'll be back at it after this quick break.
Support Grimsley Athletics by purchasing your Whirlie wear at all home varsity football games. Show your Grimsley spirit with a t-shirt, car magnet, game day car flag, keychains, logoed blanket, and so much more. Visit whirliewear.com now and show your school spirit.
If you live an active life, there's nothing worse than being sidelined by pain. And whether it's from sports, work, or advancing age, Emerge Ortho is here to get you back in the game. We're here with orthopedic specialty care, led by doctors trained to resolve pain from recent injuries or pre-existing conditions, and with orthopedic urgent care to get your injury stabilized. Emerge Ortho is here from diagnostics through recovery. Choose Emerge Ortho for your orthopedic specialty care.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
You know this, man.
Welcome back into This is Whirlie Nation. Chase Williams here with you in the first basketball season episode of the year. Here with assistant coach of the Grimsley Whirlies, Coach Davis. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
Good, doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy that you could join us. We just talked to Coach Corbett, and I've talked to Coach a lot this season on his view of the team, on everything, and I guess now I want to hear your thoughts on the roster, on the team, the start of the season.
We knew that, coming in with this team, we have a pretty much new group that we had from the year before. Very young team, but we have a lot of talent to work with. So we're very excited to get the year going. We've had a lot of success in years past, and we felt like we could have similar success, if we just come out each and every day and practice and just try to push this group to their fullest potential, and just kind of see, what the limit is for this group, how far we can go.
And halfway through the season, you bring up trying to figure out what that limit is. The sky's the limit. It's got to be, right?
That's what we feel like. Every night we come out on the floor, we always feel like we have a pretty good chance to win, a pretty good chance, to compete. So, just each and every day in practice, making sure that we take those steps to continue to build and just try to, get better and, focus on the things that we do well and, try to continue to get better at the things that we think that can take us to the next level. So, just like you said, there's no limit at what we think we can do with this team.
And we kind of talked about with Coach Corbett with the fact that Richard Goods has been absolutely dominant. I mean, he's been as good as you can ask for, pun intended right there. But it feels like with each and every game, there's always been that second guy. There's been someone else, whether it's been Richard and Kareem early on or Richard and Nick Keith. There's always kind of that second guy that's really stepped up, and it's been a two-headed horse each and every game. How helpful has that been, A, to have someone else help lead the pack, but B, also someone different each time to make it harder for a team? It's not always preparing for the same two guys to kind of dominate the game, but someone else that you can always trust to kind of be that second leader with the Whirlie's team.
I think it's been great because, like you said, when we come out, we pretty much know every team is, going to have Richard circled on their scouting report. He's their number one focus. But, like you said, it's, been a different guy, with him and Kareem. They have a good chemistry together. Different times with Nick Keith. And then, we have other guys who can step up and make shots and make plays as well. Guys like Henry Trent, so it's just different, different look, different things that we're able to throw at teams. So, it's just a good thing to have where, you just have different guys that you can rely on, like you said.
The press has been something that's slowly been implemented throughout the year. It's something that's been really helpful to work on clearly throughout most of these recent games that have been at home where it's been an early jump ahead. You've kind of been able to experiment. What have you seen from the press that's really impressed you?
I just like the way that, it brings energy to our team. When we go out and we, make a call that we're going to, do whatever it is that we're going to do in the full court, I think they just get really excited for it, and they like to get out and they like to, pressure the ball full court. So, that's just something that we like to try to take advantage of when we can. So we, just try to tinker with that and, have different presses that we can use. But it's just been something that the guys like. So, we want to give them something that they're comfortable with and feel like that they can do to their advantage. So it's been pretty good. And, we just hope to continue to build on that as the year goes.
Throughout the first half of the season, who have been kind of some of the guys that maybe aren't seeing the same shine as someone like Goods or Keith that have the stats to show for it, but that's been really kind of the glue of this team, helping piece it together, and an unsung hero, whether it's in practice, in the locker room, whatever it may be?
I can give you a couple of names. First, I would say Faison Brandon. He's, really, really good player. Really well known for his football playing, but, he's a very good basketball player as well. Someone who can, shoot the ball, play defense, rebound, make plays for others. And then also Caden Cateau. He's a very, very high energy guy. Probably one of, if not our best defenders out on the floor. He comes out every night. He's going to give the other team a really, really tough job, on the defensive end. So I think those are two guys that, may really hear too much about, but, they're very, very important to what we do as a team.
And you bring up two football guys, two guys that started kind of did not start the season with the team because football, well, they were still going on, deep playoff
Yeah.
run. So how long did it take the team really to mesh and get used together? I mean, there were guys even late towards the end of the fall season, or excuse me, the fall semester, still getting implemented with the team. DJ Howerton starting to get some run in the recent weeks as well. How long has it taken this team to mesh, and is there another level that has been yet to see because of that?
I hope so. I hope there is another level. But I think right around, I want to say when it seemed like things really kind of started to click for us, in my eyes, were probably right after the Page game in Haco. I think, like Coach said, we were kind of caught a little off guard there. But, sometimes it's maybe just a loss to open up your eyes a little bit and, just had us go back to the drawing board and, figure out some things that we could do better. And I think from that point on, that next day we played Ragsdale, and the day after that we played Bishop McGuinness. And I think Bishop McGuinness, that game might have been, maybe the best game of basketball that we might have played all year. So right around that time frame is when I think it really started to, come together and guys started to gel and, just getting a better feel for what each other, can do on the court and, just going from there.
And was that a kind of a player-led thing where it's just they all kind of collectively was like, "Oh snap, we got to get this together. Now is the time." Was it something more coaching-led, just the tough love after the loss? What was it that really brought them together?
I think it's a little bit of both. Right after, we, kind of, got into them a little bit and, just had to, give them that tough talk that, we can't take nights off. We can't take anybody for granted. We can't take any days for granted. And then just the same with them. They're competitors. They hate to lose. So I think, just going through that experience, was something that they don't want to feel again. So just kind of a eye opener and, something that where, you see that you got to respect your opponent. And, that starts with, us first. You got to take care of home first before, you can worry about what anybody else is doing. So, just going through that. I think it started a little bit with us, but, they take accountability and ownership as well.
How tough is it to have a group, or how nice is it to have a group that's tough enough to be able to take that accountability on their own and be able to take that leadership? And while, sometimes it always takes a little bit of tough love, I mean, these are high school kids at the end of the day. It's hard to keep high school kids accountable. So how nice is it to have a group that can lead themselves that way?
It's a luxury. I mean, like we said, we have a pretty young group, but having experienced guys like Richard and Kareem, it helps a lot, because they've been through a lot in their careers, high school wise, and then just being able to, lean back on their knowledge or, come to us and ask us questions. But that, like I said, they're competitors. So I think that's the main thing first, when it's something that's not really, going the way it's planned or, the way they want it to, instead of us just, pointing fingers or, things like that. The most important thing they want to do is win. So, when it comes back to that, we all just can come and sit down and figure it out, together, or, they figure out things on their own. So it's been great.
I do want to take a second, and also we've talked a lot about the players, a lot about the team. Let's talk about the coaching staff for a moment. It's a very talented coaching staff, lots of past players that did amazing things in their time. A great coach, a great coaching tree that Coach Corbett comes from. Talk to us a little bit about the coaching staff, what each and every one brings, and why it works so well together.
Well, I think it starts at the head with Coach Corbett. I mean, I can't say that I know too many people, if any, who, knows more basketball than him. So, me, myself, I played for him when I was in high school. Coach Moore, Coach Moore, we were teammates. We both played for Coach Corbett. So I think a lot of, what we bring to the table comes from our experience for playing for Coach Corbett, and then just, coming back and coaching under him, just seeing the difference in, I could tell the knowledge of his game that he had when I played for him, but then it seemed like it grew so much more, once I came back and joined the staff. We also have Coach Cedric Copley. Everybody knows, what he means to the program. And, we tell the kids how, all the time about, the amazing things that he did as a player. And, sometimes I don't think they really believe us, but, he has like other world knowledge of the game, always knows what he's talking about. We have Coach Chris with our JV, Coach Toby, those guys that do amazing things, when it, just comes to player development, working out guys, things that they do on the AAU circuit as well. So I just think we have a very, very, well-rounded group with our staff that we have here.
You mentioned you used to play under Coach Corbett. Now you obviously coach next to him on the sidelines. Have there ever been a moment when you go back to when you played under him where, there was a moment of tough love and now you see yourself having to give that same moment to someone else and maybe you didn't understand it as a player and now you're trying to preach it to the next generation?
Yeah, I think that's a lot that, kind of what helps. We kind of have, different, relationships with the kids where, sometimes it's like, you might have to have a good cop, bad cop situation. But, I know coming, when I was playing, there were some things that I didn't understand that, I understand now, differently, being in that coach's seat and seeing it from a different perspective. So, I think that it just helps a lot to, be here with someone that I'm familiar with and, program that I'm familiar with. So, yeah, definitely.
First road game of the season. That's wild to say as we're in January of the high school basketball season. But nonetheless, first road game of the season, Friday at Ragsdale. It's a team you saw first. I asked Coach this. I'll ask you as well. What did you see from that first game that you really think the team's going to implement and use or have to worry about tomorrow night against Ragsdale?
I think with them, like he says, every time that we play them, it's like, they just kind of go into a different gear. I don't know if it's like, they have, different friends or something on the team, something that they're trying to prove, bragging rights, whatever. But, they play really, really hard. They have guys that can really, really shoot the ball. So, we want to make sure that we can, just kind of run them off the 3-point line and, not really let them, get into a groove. So I think if we just, come out and, do the things that we do very well, that, we should give ourselves a good chance.
Absolutely. And the final question I'll ask, going along with the game Friday, if Grimsley executes what, they will win.
If we play defense and we rebound the ball and limit our turnovers, I think those will be some of our main keys that always give us a chance to, not only compete, but, hopefully come home with a win.
Coach, as always, we appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And that's assistant coach Kyle Davis here with us. We talked to Coach Corbett. Now we talked to Coach Davis. Thank you all for listening to This is Whirlie Nation. The Whirlies face off at Ragsdale. First away game of the year tomorrow night. That's Friday, January 5th at Ragsdale. Before coming back home next Tuesday, the 9th versus Western Guilford. You can hear that one on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. I'm Chase Williams at Tobacco Road Sports Radio. You've been listening to This is Whirlie Nation.
Thank you.
It's an experience when you get your own show. Great job, man. Appreciate it.